I'm Faith McKinney with ICIndymag.com, and I'm here at the headquarters of the Jazz Fest, the Indy Jazz Fest, with the owner of the Jazz Kitchen, David Allee. How are you, David?
I'm doing great.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Now, David, the Jazz Kitchen was voted one of the top 100 spots for jazz in the whole world. Now, how does the Jazz Kitchen keep it fresh, and what do you have coming up for 2011?
Well, I mean, immediately, obviously, we're getting right into Indy Jazz Fest, so we keep it fresh by obviously the artists and just keep it different styles coming through. We try to keep jazz is a big umbrella, so we're trying to keep things that are maybe more contemporary, more things that are more funky, more things that are straight ahead jazz. But I think the secret is just to make sure you keep it fresh and keep it changing and keep it going. And then also we have great food. So, some people come and they just want a good bite to eat and hear some great jazz. So.
Yeah, the food is delicious. Now, who's on the lineup for this year for the Indy Jazz Fest?
Well, it starts the 12th and goes through the 17th of September. We have a couple shows at the Jazz Kitchen. The first one is Aaron Deal, and his group will be there on Monday. And what we're going to feature with that, he is actually the American Pianist Association Cole Porter Jazz Fellow, and or Fellow in Jazz, as I think they like to call it. But anyway, he's a fantastic jazz trio player, and he was just here, and he just won their big competition this last summer. So I think a lot of people are going to be excited to hear him come back. And then on the 13th, on Tuesday night, will be the Headhunters. And the Headhunters are long known as being the backing band for Herbie Hancock. And that album actually was the first album to ever go platinum in the jazz world. So their new album on Al Studios, which is another one of the presenters of the Jazz Fest, just came out. So it's a good way to do their CD release party at the Jazz Kitchen, tie their music into what's going on here, and then obviously bring their kind of funky, soulful sounds. And it's pretty eclectic. Bill Summers and Mike Clark lead that group, so fantastic group there.
Yeah, so as one of the trio in the Jazz Fest family, how does the Jazz Kitchen keep up to the tradition of jazz in Indianapolis?
Well, we have to always be looking at what happened. I mean, jazz is it gets passed on from generation to generation. So, as jazz musicians and jazz aficionados, we have to look back and see where it's come from to be able to move forward. And I think just about any jazz musician that's gone through the process of learning this music and going that would agree. So we take the same approach as we're promoting this music, and that is to, we have to look back and see Indianapolis has a legacy that's on par with every other major city in the world. Freddie Hubbard, J.J. Johnson, Slide Hampton, Wes Montgomery. I mean, the list goes on and on. James Spalding. So, we have to look back to those guys that kind of made it possible for jazz in this town to be able to get where it's at.
And you come from a line of great jazz musicians yourself. Yeah,
well, my dad's a jazz pianist and very well accomplished. I mean, he tours nationally with several bands as well as his own projects, and he's probably got half a dozen nationally released CDs out there. So
Steve Allee.
Steve Allee, yeah, he's dad, and he's and a great jazz pianist as well. So. Real quickly, I touch upon kind of what's going on the rest of the week on the Sunset Series, because we've got some other great shows. At the Cabaret at the Columbia Club will be Kevin Mahogany, a fantastic jazz vocalist, kind of that quintessential crooner, if you will. Thursday night out at WICR is going to present at Crystal DeHaan Fine Arts Center will be the Indy Jazz Fest band, which is an 11-piece band that includes a video wall that plays behind them that just kind of tells the story visually as well as what's happening on stage musically. And then the last one for the weekday concerts will be Frida Payne at the Madam Walker. And, she's known, for some of her more 70s disco-y style, but, man, I've seen her show. I mean, her tribute to Ella Fitzgerald is on par with anything that I've seen. And we presented Dee Dee Bridgewater tribute to Ella as well, and it's right in there with that as well. So I think that's going to be a fantastic show, and of course a fantastic venue to check it out in.
Well, sounds like an excellent lineup for this year. I'm really excited. Thank you so much.
Yeah, can I tell you real quickly? Just I want to make sure we also then get the weekend in a little bit, because that's just the start of it. And then obviously the big outdoor day will be the 17th of September, and that will include George Benson, Trombone Shorty, Rufus Reed, the Yellow Jackets, Spyro Gyra. In all, we have 3 stages with 17 bands on that day. So what we say is there's 6 days starting on the Monday the 12th, going through the 17th. I don't know how many stages that is, but we'll say it's 7 or 8 stages and about 27 different bands. So,
wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Plus food, drink, and all kinds of good stuff.
So bring your money for the food and maybe an umbrella for the sun. How about that?
For the sun, you got it right. Yes, for the sun. Yes.
So we're expecting a great time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, David.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I'm Faith McKinney. Follow me. With our discussion, I'm here with Al Hall of Al Studios and with Indy Jazz Fest. You're the business director, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, tell me, you took over the Indy Jazz Fest in 2009. What was your vision for the jazz scene here in Indianapolis?
Yes, Rob Dixon, David Allee, and I formed a partnership, and we took over Indy Jazz Fest in 2009. Our vision was really to bring it back to its roots of having the Indy Jazz Fest as a jazz fest, which sounds pretty simple, but if you look at most jazz fests around the country, the Newport Jazz Fest, New Orleans Jazz Fest, it's kind of interesting. Whenever somebody comes back from the New Orleans Jazz Fest, they say, "Oh, it was great. I had a great time at New Orleans." I said, "Did you hear any jazz?" And they have to pause. So, well, yeah, I think I did, because they mix blues in and R&B and all of these other genres. One of our visions was to bring it back to jazz because it's such a big, rich heritage in Indianapolis, the genre of jazz, be it straight ahead or easy or whatever. So that's basically our vision, to do that and to expand the Indy Jazz Fest from being a 1-day or 2-day or 3-day event to be all year around. So we would have an education component and get into the colleges and the secondary schools and specifically the IPS and see what we could do to promote jazz there in terms of their curriculum. Promote other jazz festivals as it relates to high schools and colleges. Promote and sponsor emerging jazz artists in certain universities, those sorts of things. That's a year-long commitment that we have done, and it's been very successful.
That's great. Now, this year, I know that you have 3 stages. You have one specifically dedicated to college bands or college or student bands. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, 3/4 of them are college, but we have one of the events that we sponsor is the Ball State Jazz Fest, which is a competition of upwards of 40 high school jazz bands. The 2 top competitors of that competition have the opportunity to come to Indy to go to the Indy Jazz Fest and perform there. They will be performing on the education stage. And then in addition to that, there's, I think, 6 college jazz bands from Butler, Ball State, IU, and a couple of others.
So what role does Al Studios play in Indy Jazz Fest?
Very little. I mean, it does to the extent that quite a few of the artists that will be performing at the Indy Jazz Fest will be Al Studios artists. It's just a matter of osmosis that we're going to have our talent, which is the best talent in the nation, is going to, why wouldn't we look upon that to be part of the Indy Jazz Fest?
It sounds like a great lineup. Anything you're looking forward to in particular?
No, not really. I mean, I'm looking forward to all of the events. They start, I think, at 2:00 in the afternoon on Saturday, and I'll be there bright and early to prepare for that. But no, I think everything that we've done, we're really pleased with, and I don't want to miss anything.
Well, I know I'm excited, and I can't wait. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm Faith McKinney. Follow me.